Audio live.
Audio.
Do we have people in there right now, or?
We do. Hey, Bosie's there. Yeah, we have people here.
All right. Well, then I suppose we should probably get this thing going.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, it's the happiest day of the year, September 11th.
Oh, God.
I
Good
know.
start. Great.
I know.
Best intro ever.
I know.
Hello and welcome to episode 264. That's a shitload of episodes. Of
Yeah,
the
we've done a
Hooniverse
lot.
podcast. We have done a lot. It is a lot. But whatever.
And we're what, 3 video episodes in now?
Yes. I think so.
Or is this the 4th?
I don't know.
Either way.
I think it's
Last
the
week was our
third.
first that didn't go awry in some sort of
We had
fashion.
a guest, so that was good.
Yep.
We're gonna have some more guests coming up, so that'll be good. Our friend Jonathan Klein is coming on the podcast.
Oh,
in a
yes.
week.
You guys will get to be in the bask in the glory of his kindness.
Our friend Alana Scherer will be here in about 2 weeks.
Yes, which you guys are familiar with her now from her stuff at Edmonds.
We're almost at, sort of close. It's a little later in the year, but this year for LA Auto Show, we should try to line up some people.
We absolutely should.
So that'll be good.
And then, of course, after that, we'll have SEMA coming up, too.
Someone just noticed that there's a new logo in the corner. Look at you. Look at you. Yes, there is. And that is a prelude of future design language. Someone is paying attention. That is the only place besides Patreon where I've shared some new design language. You can't see it on that screen, but the little watermark that sits on a YouTube video to show subscriber numbers.
Yeah.
I changed it. I'll show it to you later.
Ah, okay.
So let's dive into the news. First up, we have Bugatti. Bugatti has said that this generation W16 will be its last. Now, the Chiron and the Devo, this engine makes nearly 1,500 horsepower at this point.
Now, does the Devo come with a special hat?
The Devo does not come with a special hat. You can click off that now. They only need to see for a second, but that's a monster of an engine.
It is. It's probably one of the most ridiculous engines in production. Production being a very lightly used term here.
Well, I mean, it's production. That is a production car.
I give them it's got OEM fit and finish. It's not like not to take anything away from the Hennessy Venom because it's ridiculous, but that's
totally different.
Put together with parts.
Right.
These are you can tell these are cast aluminum pieces made for this motor.
So it's 8 liters. Quad turbo, first appeared in 2005 in the Veyron with a bit over 1,000 horsepower. Now it's up to 1,500, and Bugatti says this is it. No more W16s.
You know what? I still think that there's probably a lot more juice in that than 1,500.
There probably is. There probably is. There has to be. But it's going to be interesting to see where Bugatti goes with. They're obviously going to add electrification.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the easy way of doing it now.
They already have displacement. They already have forced induction. They see that they're paying attention. They would never admit to paying attention to what another automaker does. They are absolutely paying attention to what Koenigsegg is doing, what Rimac is doing, what even maybe Porsche in their own family is doing.
Well, you know what this is? This is, they're just the kind of crazy, weird end of VW where I guarantee VW is making, if they're making any money at all on them, it's negligible. This is just an R&D division that they get to brag about.
Yes, that's really what it is. And recently, one of the boss men, I think it might have been Steven Winkelmann, but I don't know for sure, came out and said the car could do 280, but we don't need to try.
Well, the other thing is where you're going to get tires that are going to sustain that are not going to open them up to tons of liability.
Michelin is doing research on it. Because
they are.
Koenigsegg is knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Hennessy is working with them, believe it or not, for the Venom F5 or whatever the fuck it's called. Bugatti has the Michelin Pack system or whatever their tires are called. So Michelin is playing into this unknown realm of 300 miles per hour. So someone's working on the tires.
Well, you know what? It makes sense, I guess, because we're starting to hitting a wall, especially with people like the top end Porsches and the top end Corvettes, where you're going to be getting into the 250 realm probably in the next several years. So they're actually going to need a production tire.
Yeah. Either way, it's crazy. Moving on to another bit of very odd news. I find this kind of crazy. So Rolls-Royce and Harvard are working on microbots for their new engine maintenance. Or for future engine maintenance. Here, click on it. So I'm going to click play on this just so you can see this. This is obviously conceptual, but they're the world's smallest mechanics, 4 legs. They want to get them smaller than they are.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
for those of you not watching the video, they almost look like wind up or like cheap little experimental robot toys that you give to kids.
Yes, they do. So the idea is that Rolls-Royce wants to make them smaller,
Yeah.
so that they can they can do engine maintenance without removing the engine. They want to, and this is I'm pre-warming up this joke.
Yeah.
The goal is to get them to 10 millimeters in diameter, which means you will lose them and never find them again.
Yeah.
But
it's don't get me wrong, like this is cool, but it's totally wankery right now.
Yeah.
They're never going to do engine maintenance with these little robots.
Tiny robots. No, it is.
By the time that's feasible,
Right.
everything will be full electric.
Yeah, totally. The goal is to reduce cost of engine maintenance, but it's a cool thing that they can tell their customers, like, stick with us, and in 20 years, robots will be.
Well,
doing
yeah, I
engine
mean, it's just like
maintenance.
I operate my own little tech companies, and like there are the things that you're actually doing, and then there are things that like you're tangentially doing that you
Right.
kind of say, hey, we've got this cooking, and it's just like, hey, we've got robot powered monkey spiders. It's like
And Rolls-Royce is like, tell me about the monkey spiders.
exactly, and like that's probably never going to be a shipping thing, but like to a certain subset of people are like, oh, monkey spiders.
they've
How
already-
did we ever go without
They've
them?
already done crazy ass shit though, where they're like, hey, what was your birthday? Okay, cool. So in the headliner of your car, we're gonna make it look like the night sky
Yeah.
on the exact night you were born. Now, granted, that is much easier than 10 millimeter nanobots swarming your engine. bay.
Yeah, the thing I find hilarious with that whole fiber optic thing is just like who cares?
The person who bought that car cares a fucking shitload. I guarantee it. And then the guy who created it is very proud of his work. But if you know how like if you and I are like, hey, I'm making 30 more horsepower because of this mod, we'd both be like, oh, that's pretty sweet. This dude to his other rich friends is like, hey, lean back. See that? That's the night I was born. Fucking now, suck it. Take
See,
it
the
all.
next version
Take it
in the
all.
future is just going to be like, see, we've traveled back in time and taken a video of your conception. Here are your parents fucking on the dashboard.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. Now, in other wacky ass
Demonetized, by the way.
news, yeah, right. Not yet. But in other wacky ass news, BMW has built a self-riding motorcycle, which is stupid.
It's very dumb.
At first glance, it's very dumb, but the real goal of this is to increase safety and the understanding of bike dynamics, so it's not actually stupid. Like the data they can glean
Yeah.
is pretty good. But and then another thing I think is maybe for a future. So like the idea, in my head, I'm not a bike guy. I think that motorcycle guys though are the type who get a motorcycle to get away from driving aids, to do it themselves.
A lot of guys, yeah. But at the same time, like if you're on a really monotonous, like this is a touring bike. This is not a sport bike, right? Like if you're on the kind of ride where you'd actually would really utilize that for what it's worth, I could totally see having kind of an auto drive thing.
See, I didn't even
to
think
be
of it
possible.
that way for
Like,
adventure
useful.
bikes, long stretches. What I was even thinking is commuter bikes. Your daily commute might be nice with some like it knows that car's merging before you know it, so things like that. So
Yeah, in theory,
joke
it's
that
almost
dumb.
easy. It's almost easier to implement than it is in a car, just because you have fewer variables to control.
Yeah. Can we go back to that one more time? Just because the way it stops and parks itself is actually pretty badass. Like that.
It slows and then drops its own
leans to the
kickstand.
correct side. It might have two, but that's pretty badass. All
Yeah.
right. So that's cool. And then as far as news goes, that's it. That's all I got this week.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a little Spartan because we're coming up on auto show season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dina, that logo is not the super taillight. It is not a super taillight. You know what it is. So don't give me shit about it. And I love that logo, and I'm very happy about it. Somebody said here, cruise control, heated grips, auto blipper, for sure. Yeah, all that stuff would be certainly great. Ben knows what it is. Thank you, Ben. Okay, so we're moving on to questions and I'm not selling us short by jumping into questions now. We have some cool what's up with our car stuff later on, or like stuff we're driving. I told you last week I couldn't tell you what I was driving, but I could tell you. I mean, I could tell you what I'm driving. They just didn't want me sharing it on social media so that every other auto journalist was clamoring for this car, which I don't know why, but I'm not going to question their logic.
So they just didn't want to be pestered. I get it.
I guess, but it's their job to be pestered.
That is true.
So Patreon questions first because they're better than everybody. Bobby Reed asks, which new car is most negatively impacted by equipping it with an automatic transmission? Tough question because most automatic transmissions are good. I would vote for, even though they've sort of fixed it by moving to the 10-speed, which is better. I hated GM's 8-speed. You know I hated it.
Yeah, it was not great. I mean,
so Camaro.
Yeah, Camaro, or I think maybe the biggest one you can make the argument for would be the CTSV.
Yeah.
Just because there is no other option. At least in the Camaro, you could buy a manual.
That was a pretty good manual, too.
Well, it's a Tremec. I mean, Tremec's always make good manuals. Like, people are like, oh, this such manual is better than the other. And it's just like, you realize that most of the manuals you end up driving are Tremec's.
I had to click off. It was still playing the bike GIF on this computer.
It was driving you nuts.
I had to click off and like, okay, I got it. Kickstand, cool. I think the more interesting question, to flip Bobby's question around, not that your question's not interesting, Bobby, which car is negatively impacted with the manual option? Because there are some out there.
There was an interesting sentiment from Farah a couple of weeks ago. I happened to catch his ZR1 review, and he's like, "This car is so fast, I couldn't keep up with it with a manual." He's like, "So there are definitely those cars." Like,
so that car would be fun on the street with the stick, but on the racetrack,
it's probably too much to handle. Yeah. I mean, you're already in overload of trying to keep up with the speed of that, and then like being brave enough to dive into the braking zone that those massive brakes can handle.
Right.
And like, I think a GT3 is like, it's more enjoyable to screw around with the manual.
Yeah.
But a GT3, like, I haven't driven the new GT3 in a manual, but I drove the 997, and then I've driven the 991. And the 991 with the PDK is so much better.
Right.
Because it's just, that car is frantic.
So I have two of them. They're both Volkswagens. The Golf R, believe it or not, is better with the DSG.
Yep.
And then the Golf Volkswagen All-Track Wagon is also better with the DSG.
Yes.
It's just Volkswagen sticks aren't the greatest.
And they never really have been.
Those gearboxes are just so suited to those cars. I mean, as much of a shame as it is, those cars are better with the automatics.
And the funny thing is, for all of kind of the quirky stuff that Volkswagen has had over the years, as soon as they released that dual clutch back in the GTI years ago, like 10 years ago,
right,
it was great back then, and it's been great since. They have managed, kudos to Volkswagen, they have managed to not fuck up their dual clutch.
Thank you, Brendan.
Which you can't say the same for like Mercedes. Mercedes dual clutch sucks.
Yeah. I only know about vintage Benzes, so I don't even know.
Have you ever driven a CLA 45?
Yes, I drove it at the launch.
Okay. You drove the GLA 45 too, right?
No, I've never driven the GLA.
CLA
45 had fantastic steering.
Yes, but the only thing is the transmission felt like it was having a hiccup every time you went to go and change gears.
Yes. Marshall Cash asks, if you could take one of the buggies from your wide open video this morning anywhere in the U.S. except the Southwest Desert, where would you drive it? New York City, road Atlanta, Seattle, public roads in Virginia. I would use that and go on a road trip to visit all of the national parks. I'm a changed man after Yosemite, but I would try to visit the national parks using as few bits of road as possible. I mean, I know you need to use road, because you just need to use road at some points. But that's what I would do. I would take that buggy on an epic road trip.
So where you're going, there are no roads?
Well, there will be roads, but I like your sentiment.
Yes.
Dina Honda, hey guys, love the new set and the video podcast.
Thank you.
So Chris worked hard on this. So yeah. So I've been noticing on Bring a Trailer that many of the Porsche cars are reserve not met and are not selling. And I just want to tell everybody asking questions on the live stream, well, we're paying attention to these other questions. After we get through with them, we're going to go back and see what your questions might be. So we're not ignoring you. I just can only have one window up at a time. So I've been noticing on Bring a Trailer that many of the Porsche cars are reserve not met and are not selling. Has the Porsche bubble popped, or are these owners just thinking they can get more and setting the reserve too high? So we're going to answer that question first because he has two questions. So I think the ultimate Porsche test is coming. This October 27th, I believe, in Atlanta, RM Sotheby's is hosting a 70th anniversary Porsche auction with nothing but Porsche stuff.
Right.
So depending on how stuff sells there, now granted, it's going to be, this is why I think it's actually going to be the good test, is because if these people aren't buying Porsche stuff at reserve prices, and then yes, then I will agree with you that the Porsche bubble, I don't think it's an explosive pop. I think it's a and then the air will slowly fizzle out.
I think you're right. That's probably going to be the best test. I think we've just hit the plateau. I think we've hit the reasonable amount of money that people are willing to pay for things.
And there's some crazy shit they're selling. I just wrote an article on Motor Authority today. There's a Porsche 1983 Porsche 956 Group C race car. It didn't win at Le Mans, but it won at it was one of the U.S. races.
Gary's Festival of Speed?
No. It placed third at other major tracks. It did, it's raced at Brands Hatch. I think it raced at Road Atlanta, Mugello, Silverstone. So this is a race-proven Group C 956, and the estimate is like somewhere between 5 and nearly 7 million. So it'll be interesting to see how that sells.
So and it's got provenance, but it's not like the big winner.
No, it's not like a Le Mans winning car.
I don't think it'll pull it.
Beloff's car. I don't know, man. That's a hell of a machine, though. That's like such a Group C Porsche is amazing. Now the 962 after it is a beast. The 917 before it is more desirable, though technically not as good because the 956 was the first one with the monocoque. So I don't know.
It just blows my mind that what are relatively the anything in the 911 range has that kind of crazy value outside of like an RS or something like that, has that kind of value attached to it.
Right.
And I mean a classic RS, not a current RS.
Right. Like 73.
And not like I could see it with like a Carrera GT or a 959 or that kind of stuff that's super limited run.
Yeah.
But like cars that are, these are not like ultra rare by any stretch.
Porsches.
Yeah.
Like 911s. And
I think what we're going through right now with certain classic cars is exactly what we saw with muscle cars in the early 2000s.
$1 million Hemis and shit.
Yeah, and like you can easily go and buy one for $35,000 today.
Yeah. I mean, some of those Mopars still hold their value, but not like that. This is one of 17
No,
manual Hemi convertibles.
That was also in the age of us giving credit to people that shouldn't have been getting credit, which we're back to strangely.
Right.
So be prepared for Chevelles to be $90,000 again.
So what did you do to earn this car? Well, I too owned a subprime mortgage company, and I am cashing out and running. Bye, bitches.
Or I too now own 4 mortgages on my $300,000 property in Florida.
But I got a sweet-ass Hemi. Woo! His second part of his question. Also, is there a way for me to get rid of my 2016 Mark 7 GTI that has been sitting in my garage for over a year and has less than 5,700 miles on it? I still owe on the loan, and every month when I make the payment, I keep asking myself why I'm paying for a car I don't drive. I want to buy another car, but my wife says, where are you going to put it since the garage is full with S2000 GTI, 2 CBR 600
You sir sound tragically upside down on that.
Yeah, you need to find a way out of that thing.
You know what? To be honest, you sound so upside down. Unless you hate that car, drive it for a year or two because like you are gonna lose your ass.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, it's a good car. So I don't know. Yeah, you're kind of. I don't know what you owe on it, but it sounds like it's not in a great place. Dan Mosqueda. Yeah. Chris, did you see the story about a guy cracking the code on a Tesla and opening the car up? What kind of encryption do you think these companies use?
It depends on what. I did not see that specific story, but having knowing a fair bit about this and then talking to like people over at APR and Dynan and stuff like that, it really varies wildly from the company. Like the methods of encryption that they use, and like sometimes there'll be several different methods within a single car. Sometimes the things are centrally stored, like the GM stuff. Generally, you'll have like your main ECU, and then you'll have a body control module, and those are two things. And like the main ECU is cracked. In college.
Body control module.
Yeah.
Body control module.
You just popped and locked all the time.
I just get excited because we have video format, so I can do dumb shit like that, and it translates a little bit better.
At least for a portion of the audience. So, but like you get into like the German stuff, and then they'll have like multiple different systems that are encrypted. So it's really bizarre how they do stuff. I couldn't, other than the fact that like I think it's a product of them splitting different engineering teams up of like, you guys build this part and you guys build this part and you guys build this part. That might explain why it's so different, but yeah, it varies wildly. There's no real rhyme or reason to it.
Right. Russell Gorley, you have a $100,000 budget to buy 2 vehicles, new or used, one of which must fit 3 child-sized passengers. One must be good in the canyons, and one must generate attention at a Cars and Coffee. Rear-wheel drive is preferred in at least one of the vehicles. What would you choose? I would build my wagon out even more so than I'm planning because it satisfies all of that. So there's my answer. That's not the real answer. The real answer is
how many? This was 3 children in the back.
It just says 3 children. So I would have a Range Rover and a 68 Dodge Charger with Hotchkiss suspension, so it handles in the canyons.
Well, I guess the question on that is there a spouse?
That the Range Rover would be the other car.
Yeah.
Full size Range Rover, please.
You know what you could do is you could do what I did and just buy a Macan and then go buy something else real fun. Because I only paid, well, I say only, but like from where it started on the sticker price, I paid $40,000 for my Macan, and that's perfectly reasonable car for like a family. And it's actually still fast. So
yeah.
And then you get $60,000 to go do something else with.
There you go. Craig on McBride, my folks are thinking about buying a C6. Dad wants a Z06, obviously, and Mom just wants a pretty one. Should I try to convince them on a Grand Sport as a happy medium or stay out of it and let Dad convince Mom to get the Monster? It's not a bad move to get the Grand Sport to keep Mom happy, though you could probably find a pretty Z06 as well.
Yes. So here are the things. The Z06 is a little bit lighter, but the LS7 can be a bit more temperamental of an engine. The Grand Sport, of course, is the all-steel chassis, which actually is a tiny bit stiffer. And it also has the LS3, which is bomb-proof. And you'll pay less for it. So the Grand Sport's not a bad option because otherwise, other than the engine, there in the difference between aluminum and steel on the chassis, there's not a lot different there. And you could take that difference in price and throw it into a head and cam package on the LS3 and make more power than the Z06 ever did.
All right, we're moving. That was a good answer. We're moving to the Twitter questions, and I have to just make sure I find the right ones because there was one that came earlier in the day, and I want to make sure I don't miss it. Oh, Freddie Tavares at the Real Tavares asked, will the McLaren 675 LT appreciate?
Not for a long time.
I mean, I don't think it's going to drop. I just don't see it shooting up yet either.
Talk to me in 30 years.
I don't know about 30. 30 seems like a lot. We'll see. Who knows? There might be a dystopian wasteland and no supercars.
It takes a long time. I mean, let's look at like something that's relatively contemporary, like a 360 or a 430. Those certainly aren't really appreciating at this point.
That's true.
They're slowly climbing back to what they may have originally sold for, but they're still fairly shy of that.
That is a good point. View from the deck. I don't even know if this was a reply to my question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Hi, Jeff. Really enjoy your work. Any reviews from you of the Mazda CX-5 anywhere? I found the video review for the CX-3, but it's just too small for the family. So I'm guessing that was just a random tweet, but I'm going to answer it. And no, I don't think I've reviewed a CX-5, even though I own a CX-5. I will reply to that question.
And all of those Mazda SUVs in that lineup, the only one I haven't been in is the 9.
The 9's great.
As I understand it, should be, because the other two are great.
The CX-3 drives amazingly. The CX-5 is a happy medium with giving you more space, and it drives well. And then the CX-9 is just really nice and still drives well. Yeah.
Mazda is maybe at the top of the design game right now.
Yeah.
All their stuff is pretty. And as a matter of fact, I don't know, shoot me maybe, but I like the new Accord too.
Rob Booth asks, at Rob A. Booth, as cars become more reliant on tech and consequently become less driver experience oriented and more autonomous, will this have an effect on automotive journalism? How do you plan on staying relevant in the future, e.g. becoming more specialized on the tech aspect? And how will the substance of your reviews change, more emphasis on occupant accessories, amenities? I don't think they're ever going to be a point that, at least soon, like in the distant future, sure. But I think even as these cars become more tech focused, we're not at the cliff yet for autonomy. So you have companies like Porsche with the Taycan, seats Taycan, and that's going to be a blast to drive, I'm sure. Rimac, you have Faraday Future, Lucid Air, I think, is one of the cars. Just lapped Laguna Seca as fast as a Boss 302. I don't know if that was autonomous or not. And then, there are, and Teslas, have crazy performance.
If you want to drive, there will be enthusiast options. There just will exist.
And then if the market moves on and I don't want to cover that stuff, I will just drive classic shit on a closed course somewhere.
And
scream into the void.
I'm going to point back to the old Jay Leno saying of like, horses didn't stop being around because cars came out.
Yes.
Like, there will always be a subset of people that enjoy horses. Likewise, there will always be a weird subset of people like us that want to manually drive some old thing.
Don't check my browser history.
Yes. There'll be a weird subset of people like us that want to drive internal combustion engines down roads, and look like Mr. Burns with his velocipede.
Yes, exactly. Great. Yes, exactly. 100%.
Revulcanize the tires and fill it with petroleum post haste.
Yes. All right. Facebook questions. Ross Ballot. Will the Wombat be completed by Project Car State of the Union 2019? So this week we're doing on Hooniverse.com. We're doing we call it SOTU, SOTU, our State of the Union, where I get everybody who's contributed for us recently or in the past few years to talk about, give us the state of their union of their project car. So we're in the midst of that, and I say the Wombat will be driving by Project Car SOTU 2019. I don't know if I'll have it in a place where like it's done, but it'll be driving. It will be my daily driver by that point. I'm convinced of that. I'm very convinced. It's
basically been the entire length of this podcast, like since we've been doing it.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm legitimately applauding on that.
No, but it sucks too. Tommy Loretto, can you tell us non-New England people if there is much of a cultural difference between the North Shore and the South Shore? Yes. Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
I'm from the North Shore, and I'm wearing these preppy as fuck shorts right now, and I have a shirt from Plum Island, and the South Shore, they'd beat me up for this.
Yes, I have family from the South Shore, and they would get drunk and punch Jeff.
Though the South Shore, though, like you said, you hadn't been in Southie for a while. And
it's way different now. It's like...
It's Yuppieville.
It almost looks like being up in San Francisco.
It's Yuppieville.
It's like lots of high-end hotels. Like we got out of Logan, and my business partner had booked this hotel for a meeting that we were having down there, and we're driving around, and I'm like, what in the hell? This does not look like where people dump bodies anymore.
No, it's no longer the real life departed. But there's a huge difference between North Shore and South Shore.
Yeah,
and then it depends. As you go further South Shore, it becomes similar back again to North Shore.
Yeah, and just to be very clear, like the way that was depicted in The Departed was not that far from reality.
No, not at all. Not at all. Minus Alec Baldwin's accent. Russell Turnbull, why isn't there a direct competitor to the GTI who could or should step up and make a fun two-box hatch? I'm going to be talking about the Veloster in a minute here, so hold on.
It was. I think the ST was a legitimate competitor.
It's a competitor. It just depends what you want more
of.
Yeah, right. It depends what you wanted more of. To me, the GTI was just a little bit more grown up and nicer inside.
Yeah.
But it was more expensive.
On that same topic, I was very amused when Ford basically came back and yelled at the president this week. They're like, yeah, that's not how tariffs work. We're not just going to build it here because things are no longer economical to build in China.
Right.
I found that very funny. They're like, Mr. President, here's how economics actually work.
No, shit's now more expensive.
Yeah.
We're not just close up the factories. Fuck them.
Yeah, the really disconcerting thing is that's actually affecting people that like were working here. Like, they would have had jobs based on importing those vehicles and marketing them and bringing them in. It's just now that the tariffs are on, like all those people are out. Sure, it wasn't factory workers, but it was everybody else that supported that vehicle line is now out of work.
Right. Russell Turnbull. Oh, no, we just did that one. Niles Rogers. Why is Acura so underrated and not talked about in the automotive world? Acura has this weird problem where they make a few good things and then they take a few steps back. I love their hybrid powertrain because it's similar. It's the same idea of what they put in the NSX, just scaled for everyday use. So that's really cool.
And the SHL all-wheel drive system is very, very nicely really done. Good.
The interiors, it's the most comfortable seats consistently for me are Acura front seats. They are just perfect for my body. The sound systems are always amazing. The looks have gotten better ever since they've reworked the beak.
Yeah. Well, they've kind of almost flat out ditched the beak now.
Yeah, it's just a big ass grill now.
They were just tragically unattractive. But like, remember when like the TLs and everything first came out?
Yeah,
they were good looking cars. Everybody liked them. They were handled well. You know, it was just. We went through a solid 10, 12 years of them just making awkward-looking cars.
Right. They've always been good driving cars, though. I still like the ZDX because it was like driving a concept car.
Yeah.
Even though it was dumb.
When at my old place, and back when I lived, just a few miles away from here on the water, my neighbor had just bought a brand new TL, and it was white with a tan interior, so it was like the Boca Raton Classic.
Yeah.
And I just asked her, I go, Eve, why the hell did you buy that thing? And she goes, because they basically wanted to pay me to take it. You know, they couldn't get rid of those cars.
Thank you, Dion. Yeah, exactly.
So even though they were good,
right? And Everyone I know who has an MDX or an RDX fucking loves it and usually buys another one.
Yeah,
So,
I bet you the attach rate on those is very similar to like the Lexus RX. I bet you.
Yes, I agree with that. Russell Turnbull, another question. Will the mid-engine Corvette get some kind of performance boost through electrification like the NSX or more expensive
Not initially.
cars? Not initially. I agree.
Probably the ZR1.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But there's a lot of Hawaiian shirts that would be like, what you mean? It's like my iPhone now.
Yeah.
So,
well, look at all the people that every time a Corvette story comes up, they bitch about it going rear drive. They're like, oh, it can't be named Corvette. And it's just like, well, get over it. It is. The one that still kills me every time, well, it's going to be more expensive because it's mid-engined. Well, how does the bill of goods change from moving the engine from the front to the middle?
So that's instant 20,000 right on top.
Yeah.
Mid-engine? Oh,
it's a tax.
right.
It's a mid-engine tax. I've literally...
Let's see here. Is that the mid-engine tax? Check.
Yeah. I've literally talked to the people that are working on this program. It costs them no more to produce that than it does a regular one.
There you go.
So
I don't think, well, like we said, electrification, not initially, at least.
Yeah.
Ross Ballard, if the Wombat was a beer, what kind of beer would it be? It would be one that has been fermenting for way too fucking long. But hopefully when it's done, it's like the most delicious, amazing sour you've ever had. Sour because not everybody's going to like it, but those who get it think it's fucking delicious. And that was a way better analogy off the top of my head than I thought it was.
I give you credit for that.
Thank
Jeff.
you. We're going to look back. I'm just going to scroll through the YouTube stuff here. Again, Brendan and
the
Dion,
YouTubes.
thank you. The YouTubes. My Golf DSG lags a lot when pulling away from junctions. First gear sucks in DSGs.
Yeah, it's a little shitty in my car now too.
Carcane, best 2-car garage for combined $30,000. $30,000.
$30,000. That's probably like a FRS.
I would want some sort of I don't know, because I kind of want a muscle car in there, and then I don't know what I would put next to the muscle car to balance it out.
Yeah. Well, half of it could be my Fiesta ST, which is now for sale.
Yeah, but I need a little bit more space than that. I don't know. My buddy, I posted this on Instagram. My buddy Anthony, who we're going to get on the podcast at some point, he has a 3-car garage, and the Chevelle might be pushing it, but he has a Chevelle that's super clean, a Nova he's been working on, and then an El Camino that I just drove, and it's fucking hilarious. So it's possible to do it.
I would say, let's see, if you were going to do that, and this is clearly somebody that's trying to work with this under a tight budget, I'd buy a flood damaged FRS RS or BRZ, right? Get a motor swap in there with like an LS or something, and put some do the suspension for drift. Have that, and then just go buy a daily.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Like a used extended cab pickup or something like that. Something quasi practical.
There you go. Nick O'Brien, this is the last YouTube question for the moment before we get to dive into some other stuff. Nick O'Brien asked Jeff, good sours to try that I can get in Colorado. Paradox is your best friend. Go find beers from Paradox. I've never had a bad one from them, and they make a lot of different ones. Paradox is the shit.
Okay.
Now, so car news. My wide open Baja video is up.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of it, which is why it currently has so little views. I know that when I put my heart and soul into a video, nobody's going to watch it. I expect that. I know it's going to happen. But please go watch it, go share it, just because we put a lot of effort into it. Josh worked hard on the shooting. I destroyed a GoPro in a hilarious manner, and then it took me a while to edit it just because there was so much goddamn footage. And then I just discovered, because I'm constantly learning, I didn't go to school for Premiere, which is very clear, or editing, but I just discovered editing with proxies, where you create a...
it's basically you can scrub through it real fast.
Yeah, so it's making like a mirror version of the file. You can edit using those proxies, and then it reverts once you're done to the full versions, so like full quality. And it just now, instead of like laggy computer shit, it blows through it.
You know what you should try too, just because you're working on that Mac Pro? Try Final Cut.
I don't want to though.
It's so fast.
Ever since I switched to the proxies, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any trouble until I used this footage from Josh, where he was shooting with Panasonic GH5, but he had a separate external recorder to capture the data, so it was like higher bit video.
Yeah, he had a super high
bit
rate.
God, it was it was.
And your system is not a slouch.
No, it's not. But
you've got a 12 core box with 64 gigs of RAM.
When we used to shoot full scale videos like we used to do, which we don't really do as much of them anymore, when we used to go out and shoot it, I would come back and get like 20 to max 50 gigabytes of video.
Yeah.
After we got back from Baja, I had nearly 500 gigabytes of video.
Yeah.
So and it was all because of the file sizes on Josh's shit. It was so much bigger. So go watch that video. It is probably going to be literally right below this video. And for those of you listening on Shout Engine, go to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Also, for everybody listening, we do this on Tuesday nights. Usually we start between 7 and 8 o'clock Pacific. So check us out. Come in, say hi. I know it's not workable for everybody, but we're trying to.
You mean virtually? Like, don't knock on your door.
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just gotta specify that. You said stop by, man.
Stop by, watch us live. Bring something to eat. We'll nosh.
And if you bring a beer.
Yeah, but try out the YouTube thing. I mean, this is a grand experiment.
He's speaking to the Shout Engine people right now. Obviously, the YouTube people. You're here already, so thanks.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for participating.
Okay, so I want to bring up, last week I said there was a car that I can't talk about.
Yes.
I've been driving the Aston Martin Vantage they were supposed to pick it up, I thought yesterday. They're like, no, we're picking it up tomorrow. And I got an email from them today, like, hey, we're too busy. Can we pick it up on Wednesday? So I've been driving it for like 3 days.
Did you drive
longer.
it here?
Yeah, it's outside.
Okay.
You all know that I'm a massive homer for all things Aston Martin. Like, I unapologetically like their stuff, though I never liked their sport shift transmission. Their infotainment used to be garbage until they switched to the AMG back stuff.
Yeah.
So I can fully admit, yet still appreciate the flaws and the beauty and the amazingness and blah, blah, blah. This Vantage is the best car they've ever built. It is that good.
It damn well should be.
It's better than the DB11. When we get Klein in here next week, he's driven the DBS, so it's going to be a great little chat back and forth about why one would be better than the other. It's such a tight package. The engine sounds just like so buff and ready to go. The command system works fine.
So it's a tight package that's buff and ready to go?
Buff. It's like, this is like the new season of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. How Mac is gay now in season 13.
Well, he's always been, but I love that last year they just okay, yeah, he's gay now.
Yeah, but he's also he's tone and fit.
He's disturbingly so.
Yeah, and he's been fat before. Like, that dude's amazing.
But I was reading up on that, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm just fucking with the idea of where a sitcom star needs to be ripped. He's like, there's no need.
Well, he says as a sitcom progresses, the stars get better looking because they have money. So he did the opposite, which is just so good. But back to the Vantage, the steering is perfect. The engine noise when you let off throttle overruns, it's the first time it did it, I thought something broke under the car.
You know what you should do?
It's so much louder than I expected.
When you edit the video, you should call it the Mac.
The Mac. No, not everybody would get that reference. I'm literally going to say Aston Martin Vantage, the best Aston Martin. It is the best Aston Martin outside of insane one-offs that I've never driven. The V8 Signet might be the best one ever built. The 177, the Vulcan, the Valkyrie, just in their road cars.
My favorite is the V12 Vantage.
This is better, and I loved the V12 Vantage.
And you remember the blue V12 Vantage that was going around 7 or 8 years ago?
Yes.
That one was beautiful.
This car is so. The seats are better. The audio system somehow is a little bit better. It's just and everything works. Everything in it works.
Not VH
which is
platform,
new for them.
right?
It has a tiny bit of VH, but it's 70% new parts, and then 10% of those came from DB11, and then 70% is Vantage, and then a smattering of probably a VH weld, right? It's mostly not VH.
Okay.
But I guess there's a tiny bit of VH.
So what's the deal with the transmission?
It's just the ZF transaxle, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And they're gonna do a manual at some point, 7-speed manual.
Okay.
Which will be interesting to see where it fits. If you look in the center stack, it's going to be interesting to see where they're basically going to have to get rid of the cup holders to put a manual in there.
Yeah, probably.
But whatever.
It'll be probably a Tremec, and
No, actually, I don't remember what they used. Do they use Tremex?
Yeah, they used to use Tremex.
Okay.
I don't know what they had been in recent years, but yeah, like all the automated manuals were all Tremex because they were basically just Corvette transmissions.
This is the best Aston Martin they've ever built. I love it. Now, so before the Vantage, I had the new Veloster. It's really good. We drove it here. We talked about it a little bit last week.
Yeah.
I'm dying to drive the N, but this is where it used to be an economy car. It is now far sportier. It's sportier than the Golf. I'm talking about the R-Spec, Turbo R-Spec specifically. So it's sportier than a Golf, but it's just not quite a GTI.
They aimed for the GTI with the first car, and they missed. It was their first time out.
It wasn't even close.
No, I know it wasn't, but they aimed for it, and like I feel like somebody pulled back on the reins and went, whoa. We got to mellow this thing out a little bit. And they missed, and they actually took the feedback and like improved it, which is nice.
It's so much better. It's so much better. So I think it's going to go like if you lined up Golf and Veloster, it'll go like it'll go base Veloster, then it'll go Golf, then it'll go R-Spec Veloster, it'll go R-Spec, GTI just barely ahead, and then N over that, and then Golf R, I think.
Okay.
I think the Golf R is going to be just slightly better than the N.
Yeah, something tells me that their chassis tuning and dynamics is probably going to be better on the Golf.
I don't know, though. I don't know, because I think this is the one where the Bierman guy is really putting like steering tuning and all that stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I can't remember. I think
the N's going to make better noise than the R.
I think it was DeMuro that put out the video of going like, the Focus RS is good, but the Golf R is the better car.
Yeah.
And I agree entirely. After getting, in the middle of getting rid of my Fiesta ST for the exact reasons why Doug is right on that video.
Speaking of Doug for a minute.
Yeah.
Dude is making some good cash. So congratulations, Doug,
on
the new Ford GT, because those are not cheap.
No. I didn't know Doug was doing that well.
I knew Doug was doing well.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was doing Ford GT well, but you look how big his channel is. Big channels with that consistently return high views.
And here's the great thing is he's got enough income coming in off of that and enough of a following that he can legitimately write that off as on his taxes.
It's impressive.
And when I say write that off,
for you, Doug, it's amazing.
When I say write that off, for people that aren't familiar, you don't get to write off the whole value, but you get to write off a pretty good chunk.
Yeah.
So
congratulations, Doug. I did not expect.
As a matter of fact, we should call Doug up and see if he can come up.
We've chatted on Twitter, and I think he just has to be in the area.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, I've done multiple shows with Doug in the past, and it's just
we try to reach out and set that up though for sure.
Yeah,
just so we can see his Ford GT, which he probably wouldn't drive all the way up here, but
yes.
whatever.
And Freddie, we're gonna hit you up over video real soon too.
So the Veloster was awesome. I'm getting the Volkswagen Passat GT, which I'm just curious about. It's like a slightly sportier Passat. So
I have an interesting, although not exciting, vehicle coming in 2 days. I have the Chevy Bolt coming.
I'm curious about the Bolt.
Have you hadn't driven it?
I don't have a place to plug in, so I haven't driven an electric.
Neither do I, which is going to make it an interesting test.
Right.
So
that's good. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And then after that, I have the ZR2 coming.
Oh, the ZR2 is awesome.
Yeah.
So important project car news. It's finally happening. Insert finally happening GIF. We should have that ready. It's finally happening. The Wombat will be on a lift later this week.
Good.
Getting shit done to it.
Good.
So stay tuned for photos and all that shit. So.
It's amazing how quickly things are moving now that you've just committed to doing a different engine platform.
And also spending money.
That helps.
Helps a lot for the builder, not from a bank account.
Yeah.
Now I want to click over to talk about something I'm driving tomorrow.
Yep.
Pull that up.
Let me zoom in here to get this kind of...
I'm driving a vehicle built
I already
by
did zoom in.
Classic Car Studio. It's this truck. It's an 86 Silverado with Z06 power. Let me see what it says over here. Z06 power, HRE wheels, sequential gearbox. Jeez. Wait, no. R1 sequential setup paired with the T56 Magnum. Yeah. Magnaflow exhaust.
And I enjoy that quite a bit because that is the same vintage Chevy pickup my dad had when I was a kid. Yeah.
Look at that.
There's so much room for activities.
Come back to us now. So I'm driving that truck tomorrow, and I'm fucking stoked. It's going to be a little bit more. That I should give it my Hoon truck plate because I saved one and be like, no, you deserve this a lot.
We're trying to line up doing the podcast with them too. We're not sure if that's happening or not right now.
So this is from the guy who owns Classic Car Studio based in St. Louis, which also has a reality build show, which we'll talk about that with him a little bit, called Speed is the New Black.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Yeah. So this is their truck.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, when Corey talked to me about lining this up, I didn't realize that that's who that was. Okay. The other thing that's interesting, I can tell from looking at the picture here is, and I'll switch back over for the people that are YouTubing it. This right here, it's got factory manifolds on the exhaust, so it's probably entirely emissions legal.
Interesting.
Because you put a newer motor in an older car, and you can still get that escape by so long as you can get it written off.
Well, there you go. I lined up, just today, I lined up another car that you're going to like.
Okay.
Our friends at Heights Suspension.
Oh, yeah. Those guys. We had them on the show at SEMA last year.
They have a fully worked 4th-gen Camaro. Mm-hmm. And I don't give a shit about 4th-gen Camaros.
Oh, we talked about this project with them before.
So this is going to be eye-opening for me.
Yeah. Well, the thing that you may not... Have you ever driven one of those, a 4th-gen?
No.
It's a lot of motor in a car that doesn't weigh a lot. They're a lot faster than people think they are.
Okay. But, I mean, the interior is made out of garbage bags, isn't it?
Yeah, but everything was back then.
Right.
It's comfortable. It's not... I'll give it that much. Like, yes, it looks like junk, but at the very least, like, ergonomically, it's okay. So...
We'll see. I'm very curious about it. It's going to be really interesting.
I'm assuming that on the Heights car, what they did is they put the IRS on it, right?
I believe so.
Yes, which is an expensive kit, but that would be something I'd be very interested in trying.
Yeah, so it's coming in 2 weeks, I think, or maybe next week. I have it on my calendar. I forget. But it's coming down to Lake Forest, so if you wanted to see it, you would have to drive down there.
If I can, I may come down, or I will just bother the people at Con Media and go, hey.
You could do that too.
That, and, we had them on the show last year and everything. It'd be good to catch up.
Absolutely. So we've got some cool car shit coming up. I'm going to I don't have a lot of trips coming up. Nothing you guys would be too crazy about. I'm going to be driving the 2019 A6 and A7. We all care more about the S and RS versions of those cars. But they'll be interesting because they're both redesigned, and those ones have become long in the tooth compared to the rest of the family. And it's in Napa, so I might get drunk on wine and do a podcast. I mean, you never know. I'm very unprofessional.
For a second there, I thought you were going to, I might get drunk and just go drive around for a little while.
No. After the driving's done, just have way too much wine because it's Napa, and then wake up and feel like shit for my flight
You're going to
home.
go do your Paul Giamatti impression, aren't you?
No, because I like Merlot. So that's a great movie. At least I like that movie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else cool coming up. I just got an invite to go drive. So the PR person who invited me to Wide Open Baja had very kind words to say about the video. I'm not going to repeat them, but just say he was very, very kind and very happy to see the video. And he said, let me know if you ever want to drive a tank. And that has my curiosity piqued a bit. I'm curious about that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Now, so we got that coming up. But that's it for 264. Chris, why don't you tell everybody about Shout Engine?
As usual, if you decide that you want to do a whole podcasty type thing and talk about things that people may or may not care about on the interwebs, go over to Shout Engine and we will set you up with the hosting to get that online real easy like.
There's that. Okay, great. And then please follow more Rugged Ridge content coming soon. Somebody just wrote, Torque Steered, wow, Chris doesn't look like what I imagined he did. Good or bad? I don't know.
Sorry?
Right? Yes, there is more Rugged Ridge content coming soon. Not from me, but I actually do want to do more Rugged Ridge content because I'm still getting comments on that video. I got some new ones this week.
Those are almost like candy at this point.
It's it's fucking great. And I haven't deleted them. I've never gone back and responded to any of them, but I let it be its own thing. So follow me on Instagram at Hooniverse Jeff. Follow the Hooniverse at The Real Hooniverse. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not already, which I assume you must be if you're in here reading this stuff, listening to this stuff. Twitter. Go ahead, sir.
I am setting up the P.O. Box tomorrow.
Nice. We'll put that address up soon and in the description of the video. At Jay Glucker on Twitter, at the Hooniverse on Twitter as well. Go to Hooniverse.com to read about our SO2 posts, our State of the Union project car posts, because those are really fun. We've got some motorcycle ones in there today. Can we do another comment episode from the Rugged Ridge video? I've been thinking about it. We'll see. I will prepare better for that. It might be fun. If we do that, it'd be good to see if Zach was free, just because
I just talked to Zach the other day, and Zach he totally wants to come back and do shows again here soon, because he's just flying everywhere all the time.
It's crazy busy.
And taking things now.
So if we could do just get him back for a Rugged Ridge episode, we might do it. So stand by for that. So don't forget, please go to Hooniverse.com and then share that wide open video if you think there might be other people that like it. And
share this new video format too. We're trying to make something of it. So
speaking of, Chris, you have a special outro for us, I believe.
I do, and this is your moment of Zen.
This is impressive.
It's the hard way to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you just use like a powered saw?
You could.
Clickbait. You could just do this with a saw. I mean, he's doing it.
His nickname is the Jaws of Life. And that's it for this week's Hooniverse.